from the first day. I got a picture of him August 11th, or July 11th, I'm sorry. And I did not plan on hunting this deer. Yeah, so that first encounter, he was at about 19 yards. He stayed there for 7-8 minutes and just didn't have a clear opening. So I watched him walk away. He was definitely hurt. We were talking back and forth. He never looked at us. His head was up, but he never looked at us. You could tell he was hurt bad. But I seen that deer and I seen his antlers. That again, I was like, wow, he is even bigger than I thought he was down on the ground. So I backed out.
Folks, I got a good one for you tonight. We're taking Antlers and Hicks out of state, going out of Louisiana, heading over to Kentucky. Got a great Kentucky velvet kill. It's going to light your fire. You're going to see it. You're going to love it. It's a great story. Brandon Epperson from Dry Ridge, Kentucky. It is gorgeous, good story, great deer. Something I'm going to try to keep doing with Antlers and Hicks just because it's a Louisiana-based podcast doesn't mean we can't go out of state. Going hunting right now, a velvet hunt. Oh, love it. Here we go. Brandon Epperson. We're here with Brandon Epperson. And one thing I'm trying to do with the Antlers and Hicks podcast is I used to do a lot of outdoor writing for national magazines, and I talked to people all over the country. And I always walked away from those interviews thinking, man, I wish people could have heard this in the hunter's own words. Well, this is the brainchild from that, the Antlers and Hicks podcast right here, video style. Got Brandon Epperson from Dry Ridge. Did I do right with that?
Yep, Dry Ridge, okay. You got it.
Dry Ridge, Kentucky. Brother, thank you for taking time out and doing this with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So you killed a heck of a deer. A heck of a deer. One thing I've always been jealous of you guys in Kentucky is the velvet season that you get. I mean, it's not only the size of your deer, but the ability to be able to hunt them during that velvet time. That's unreal. So give me some background on that.
Velvet season in September, the way you can pattern deer is just another level. It definitely, especially killing some of these bigger bucks, we're seeing, especially this year, there's been 2 200-inch deer killed in my county this year. September is just a great time to hunt. Before those acorns start dropping, you can really pattern deer. And the last 2 years, I've been really fortunate to kill a velvet deer opening weekend. So it's been working out.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, man, I'm very jealous of what you guys have out there. So give me some background on you. Tell us about you. How'd you grow up?
Well, the farm that I killed this deer on, we've lived here, and my family has owned it since 1956. My great-grandparents owned it, so always grew up on a farm, but my grandparents, my dad, not a whole lot of them are really into hunting at all, so kind of got into it on my own, just have grown into it really over the last 14, 15 years, being 31 now, so just developed a love for it and being able to have the access to private property, obviously, cattle farms and whatnot to hunt on. I've been very fortunate to have some really good farms to hunt on, so definitely blessed in that regard.
So did you kind of teach yourself how to do it, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, really just started kind of gun hunting with my grandpa, but he was not much of a hunter. He was more of a bird hunter. But I just got into gun hunting first, and then once I started bow hunting, I really never went back. So I got all my buddies are big hunters, and we just love to manage deer. And back when when I got out of college, I was fortunate enough to go to church with some guys that knew some other guys, and ended up getting in the outdoor industry and opening up my own business, selling food plot seed. And from that, I started doing food plot work for people, and then I started selling blinds and with Redneck, and now I have Redneck and Titan blinds. So been doing that for about 10 years on the side, and been really fortunate in that regard to meet a lot of great people and see a lot of great properties across a lot of states, actually.
Yeah, I bet so. Now let me ask you, over in Kentucky, what seed works best for you guys? What do y'all like out there? I know here in Louisiana, a lot of guys like soybeans, wheat, some stuff like that. What are you guys using out there?
I mean, I usually plant a lot of beans and corn in the spring. we have clover on every hillside around here, so I
Mm-hmm.
usually don't plant a whole lot of clover. Alfalfa is king. If you got alfalfa, that's a big one. But that's what we do that's what I usually what I do in the spring, and then back in the fall I do a lot of turnips and cereal grains and things like that. So usually this year, especially with our drought, a lot of the beans that we got planted didn't do very good, but able to have that second opportunity in the winter is big.
So you guys had a hard drought. I wonder how much, because we had one bad drought here, hot drought. I went in the woods yesterday, kind of stomping around. I could see muscadines didn't even make. I mean, they were little bitty, done fell off, and I'm sure the acorn trees, either if they made, they're probably going to drop acorns real quick. So,
Really, I mean, around here we've really been in a drought since fall of last year.
oh,
We were extremely dry last fall. This spring we had a really wet spell for about a month, but once May hit, I mean, we were in a very severe drought. We didn't see rain for 6 to 8 weeks, and the rain that we did receive after that was very sparse, and that's kind of carried us mainly into this fall season as well. We were fortunate enough to get some rain a couple days ago, but we're definitely very, very dry in this
yeah,
region
sounds
here.
like you guys, sounds like y'all going to be behind on some rainfall for sure, man. If you're going that long
Yeah,
without significant.
we're definitely behind on the eight ball and the rain. To get to your point on the acorns here have dropped and they've been on the ground.
Yeah.
They fell, what everybody's telling me, weeks early than anybody's ever really seen. So they've really been on hitting the ground since our opening weekend here, and in some places, which was that first Saturday in September, which is when our season opens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, ours will the trees will get real bad stress, drop them. I didn't, there's one coyote acorn tree that I don't know if I guess that's what you guys call them out there. We call them a cow oak. They got it's a big acorn, and they usually drop in around early bow season here. Our season
Yeah,
will open in a week, and it, nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. So I don't know if that tree didn't make, or maybe it's still holding because it sits right beside a creek. And that creek had water in it, so maybe the root
right.
system got in there so it could get a little bit. But the rest of them, the way they're coming to supplemental feeding right now, I can tell you there's nothing else in the woods to eat.
Yeah, that's a difference for Kentucky this year. They took back our supplemental feeding where we couldn't start that till the first day of August this year. So got about 4 weeks of feeding before season start, but we can feed all season long. So
I got
we'll
you.
let
Okay.
the government do what it wants to do. But
What was that about? Why do they want to do that?
honestly, from what I was told, it had a lot to do with turkey population and protecting turkeys. I
Okay.
don't understand it, but they make the rules and we just got to live by them. So
Yes, sir. I understand that 100%. You are right. You are right. So let's talk about this deer, my brother. I'm talking about when I saw it. I saw it on social media. I'm friends with Mike Handley. Used to be the editor for Rack Magazine, and Mike shared it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a big deer." And it looks big not only because of the velvet, but it's got a lot of points to it. And this deer really, really is impressive.
yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the pictures really doing much justice. I mean, I'm 6'5", 320, so me sitting behind him don't help him out much. But yeah, he ended up having 28, I believe, scoreable points and three or four more points that didn't quite make an inch. They were between half inch and 3/4. So it was really, really crazy to watch him. That showed you that picture on from the first day. I got a picture of him August 11th and or July 11th. I'm sorry, and I did not plan on hunting this deer. I wanted to watch him and see what he was, but I never would have dreamed how much he put on over that next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I can agree with you because when you showed me the picture when you sent it to me, first thing I thought was, that's a small frame. It doesn't even look like it would have become the deer that it became. That is, like you said, he put on a lot of inches in a little bit of time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like day after day getting pictures of him. I mean, I had tens of thousands of pictures of him since that first picture, and it was like every day he was putting on a point, or you were seeing something else that he had. And
So
he,
tell us about how leading up to the hunt, how the hunt went and whatnot like that.
yeah, so I run a lot of trail cameras, a lot. I have 31 Blackgate cell cameras that I run, um, and uh, and I that's between Illinois and Kentucky, but I'd say I probably have about 24, 25 running in Kentucky, and I had a couple cell cameras locked in on that deer. I could see the deer from my house at night, so I was watching him through a spot and scope off my back porch. Actually, it was really the coolest thing about it was having my buddies over, and we could watch him through the spot and scope and whatnot a lot of
Mm-hmm.
nights. And he just really had a small core area, super small. And I just knew that from the amount of pictures that I would get of him at all different times of the day. 9 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, noon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, he was just there all the time. Um, so I was pretty nervous about hunting him because the history I have with hunting behind this little piece behind my house is the hills are very steep, and where I was getting all the pictures of him was just down that bowl, and I knew the wind was very swirly. So I started trying to do some feeding up at the top of the hill, and had a redneck hay bale blind that I really wanted to shoot him out of, and I hunted him out of there opening morning, and after that hunt, I actually got word from a buddy of mine that another guy that we knew had pictures of him and was planning on hunting that evening. And I had no idea that there was anybody hunting even close to me. I didn't even know he left this 100, you know, yard by 200 yards square. So I was like, I got to go into that bowl and get him killed. So my buddy drove me in on the side by side because I knew he was bedded close, and got up in the tree, got all my film cameras stuff all set up, and he left. And that's when I got my first encounter with him at under 20 yards at like 2:30 that afternoon. It was like 103 degrees outside, so
Yeah.
I mean it was hot here opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Upper 90s, low 100s, and he was out there at 2:30 in the afternoon, broad daylight. So
Golly. Hey, let me ask you, how did it feel inside? Like, did you feel panic or anything when your buddy told you somebody else was planning on hunting that
uh,
deer?
oh my, I was scatterbrained for a while. I thought I would have plenty of time to get him killed. I really wanted to kill him that opening weekend before he lost his velvet, because we just know when deer lose their velvet around here, anything could happen. I've had them
Mm-hmm.
disappear for a week. I've had them disappear for 2 months. So you just don't know what they're going to do. So I really wanted to get him killed that weekend anyway, but I didn't plan on getting real aggressive with him like I did. Um, get in that bowl um, that quickly. But I hunted till about 9 o'clock that morning, and that hay bale blind slipped out. Um, then kind of devised what I was going to do that afternoon. And once I heard that at 11:30, I was in the tree and I set the rest of the night.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Hey, how hot was it in that hay bale blind?
In the morning, it wasn't that bad. They You can get some airflow moving through them things if you get the windows open a little bit. So it really wasn't that bad. It was much hotter in that tree stand, I'll tell you that.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Huh.
it was hot.
Okay. Okay. Do you hunt out of a lock on, climber, saddle? What you hunting with?
Yeah, yeah, definitely lock-ons primarily. Um, you can just get them in so many better trees um, than you can. I could never get in the saddle. I couldn't get behind that, but
I got you.
I
I
definitely.
got you. I understand. I understand, brother.
I like to be I like to be secure to a tree as possible. A few extra ratchet straps and
Yeah.
a good limb next to me. So
Yeah. Wait. You a pretty good sized lad. You a little bit bigger than me. I'm 5'6". I'm 5'7", about 165. So yeah, you. I understand what you're saying, cuz.
Yeah, you're a little more squirrely probably than I am, but
That's right.
I
That's right.
I like to be as tied to the tree as I can be.
I understand that. I understand that. So you go in, no luck. What's happening now?
Yeah, so that first encounter, he was at about 19 yards, and he stayed there for 7 8 minutes, and just didn't have a clear opening. So I watched him walk away into this hedgerow opening, right in this fence row, and he disappeared. I just kind of sat in there tight, uh, trail camera pictures. I mean, I was pretty confident he'd come back that evening, and he did. He came from a completely different direction, came through a wide open field, come right through the field, and came back down in there. Um, and that's when my emotions were real high because the way he came in, he was eye level with me, which was my
Mm,
biggest worry. But he came right in. He never paid no attention to me at all. But this little 3 year old behind him, 8 pointer, he pegged me pretty quick when I started moving that camera arm, and he was still far enough away, I think, where the bigger deer really didn't pay him much mind. Um, he was worried about eating, and he came right to
hmm
the feed and was milling around, while that other deer, he was just looking at him while he was acting crazy, and he stayed for quite a bit. I actually got drawn on him um, 3 different times in that night, but that 8 pointer, he was just ruining it for me. Um, and I was super worried. Once I got drawn back, I think I held that bow back for over 5 minutes the first time, and he just would not take the 2 steps left I needed him to clear this branch. So I let down. I was so tired. Uh, then he started acting squirrely because of that deer. He never winded me. He never looked up into my tree. He really never looked in my direction at all, which really surprised me. Um, but I drew 2 more times. I probably could have let an arrow fly at about 40 yards, but I didn't feel good about it. So I just let it down and watched him kind of just walk off again. So
mm.
I was pretty disappointed. I was calling my buddies and texting my buddies and things, and they're like, you'll get him." I'm like, "Listen, guys, this deer is big. He's bigger than we thought he was, and you just don't get that many opportunities at a deer like this."
Yeah, I can understand what you're thinking right there, brother, because you are dead on. You are dead on. So, how did you sleep?
I tell you what, I went and got me a really good dinner because I was starving and I was wore out. And I slept pretty good. I was I was passed out. I mean, I was exhausted. I
Yeah.
can't remember the last time I sat that long in a tree. Honestly, especially being at that hot. Um, I think I got out of the tree right about quarter after 8, right after he cleared this kind of ridge where I couldn't see him no more. I left everything in the tree but my camera, threw the camera in my backpack, and I flew out of that tree and took off down the creek to get back to my house and out of there as quickly as I could. But I got out of there and got back home and went and got some dinner and was just talking through it with everybody. And everybody's really supportive, like, you'll get them, you'll get them. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get another opportunity this good at a deer under 20 yards and not get an arrow in him. But
Yeah.
very fortunate I was able to do it the very next day. So
Wow, man, that's awesome. That is awesome. So tell us how that next day, how the hunt and everything like that went.
yeah, I followed the same script as I did the day before. Just went in about an hour later. Um, my buddy drove me in on the side by side. We put another bag of feed out just like we did the day before, just to kind of get that more just the noise of hearing the feed and the side by side, hearing it come in and hearing it leave. Um, I knew that deer was better within 150 yards of that where I was, so I just felt like that was the best way for me to get in and get out, was hearing that side by side leave and me stay. So that's what we did, and I got up in the tree, did the same thing, hunkered in, and he came in the same exact way he did the day prior, and it was about 4:30 that he came in that next day, and I trimmed a couple branches this time that I when I went in, and I didn't even need to because the way he came in the same way. He ate a little bit, and then he literally walked to the base of my tree, and I shot him at 6 yards.
Golly. Were you nervous at this point, or do you think as many opportunities and as much as you've seen him, you think it may have helped you?
It definitely helped me. I didn't feel near as nervous as I did the day before, drawing
Hmm.
back and everything. I was more like just relieved that I was able to get that third opportunity. Um, I was I was getting my camera all set up. I was had the bow in my hand. I was standing up. I was all good to go on him at 19 yards, and was ready to let an arrow go. And he just kind of lifted his head up a little bit, walked right to my tree, and I was like, I just couldn't believe how close he got. But as far as the shot goes, I felt really confident in the shot, and definitely having those encounters the day before was big help.
Okay. Okay. What kind of broadheads you shoot?
I've shot G5 Montex for a lot of years. Fixed blades for
Okay.
me all the way. Um, I don't mess with expandables. I've,
Hmm.
I've seen good things and I've seen them do bad things, and I think if you make a good shot, fixed blade is going to do more for you than not. So I stick
Yeah.
with those.
Yeah. My dad, he loves that G5 Montec, man. That's the one he shoots all the time. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. How was the tracking? You find him pretty easy?
The tracking was really just a crazy story. After I made all my phone calls and text messages, my phone's going crazy. My buddy that dropped me off on the side by side, he was back there within probably 20 minutes of me shooting him, and I knew exactly where the deer ran into that hedgerow. That's the way he left the day before, and that's the way he left when after I shot him. So I actually caught a trail camera picture of him after I shot him. Um, so I knew that about where the hit was and whatnot, and we kind of just walked over straight to that hedgerow to start looking for blood there. Wasn't messing around. The arrow was in the ground right next to my base of my tree. Um, that all looked good, so we just walked straight to that hedgerow. And my buddy, he ducked in there first before I did, and he took 2 steps in there, looked up, and there the deer was.
Oh
Um,
heck.
he was about 20 yards bedded up right from that opening, which was I think it was like 36 yards from my stand to the opening of that hedgerow. Could have been less than that, but he took 2 steps in that hedgerow, looked up, and that deer's bedded. And so I peeked my head in there to take a look at him. Um, he was definitely hurt. We were talking back and forth. He never looked at us. His head was up, but he never looked at us. You could tell he was hurt bad. But I seen that deer and I seen his antlers again. I was like, wow, he is even bigger than I thought he was down on the ground. So I backed out, went got my bow and knocked another arrow, and he let me walk into 18 or 19 yards, and I put another arrow in him just to make sure. Deer that big, I wasn't taking no chances.
Heck no. Don't take a chance at all. Not any. So let's talk about the bow. What kind of bow you shooting?
I have a Hoyt RX4 carbon. Um, it's a short axle to axle. I do a lot of blind hunting and
Hmm.
some. I try to get them lock-ons in tight quarters and them big
Yeah.
trees. So
Yeah.
it's been a great bow. I've kept it for 2 years, and I've shot two really nice bucks with it. So been happy with it.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. So break down some of the characteristics of this rack, brother. Tell me how many points, how many scoreable points does, and you calling him homeboy, right?
Yeah, I called him Homeboy because he seemed like he never left home, and I
Yeah.
got to watch him from home. So I felt like it was pretty fitting for him. He ended up having, I believe, 28 scoreable points, and he just had stuff coming out everywhere.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I can't believe, like we talked about earlier, that deer put on that many inches in that short amount of time. I mean, because and I'm gonna show the picture when I edit this down. Is I mean, it looks like it's gonna be a basket 10. It's what it looked like
Yeah,
when he first showed up, and then,
yeah.
man, he exploded.
And a buddy of mine, his grandpa owns a farm next door, and after I killed him, he kind of went through his trail camera pictures from last year, and he was able to find a couple pictures of the deer, and sent them over to me, and I just not could not believe. I mean, he was probably 135, maybe 140 inch 10 pointer, um, and he had some junk around his bases, but very minimal. Really, just a basket rack 10 point, and he turned into a 28 point mainframe 12 with just kickers and junk. His bases were nothing like I ever seen before.
Yeah, what did they tape out at? Do you remember?
So I'm in the Quest Hunt competition and another Apex competition. So they send you those tapes to tape them with. We filmed those tape jobs, and they both came back within an eighth inch of each other at 215 inches and 7/8.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
we had a couple scores. One from North American Whitetail. It's a Boone and Crockett scorer, and we had him on FaceTime when we were doing it. There's going to be a lot of subjective to him just because he has so many points and things that come out different places and whatnot. So he could go 220 and he could go probably 210, but all I knew was he was the biggest deer I'd ever seen, and that's all I cared about.
That's right, baby. Hey, it's a hammer. It doesn't matter what he comes out and ends up taping out officially. He is a stud horse, cuz that is a good animal. That is a good
Yeah, I
one.
mean he ended up scoring 40 inches bigger than what I put him at. I mean I was expecting him to be. I was hoping he'd gross in the 80s, um, and he ended up having a 180 inch mainframe 12 point frame without any
Hmm.
extras. So Um, it was just we get they. I didn't score it myself. I let a couple guys that I was telling about that I went to church with. They've hunted in Illinois, and they both killed a lot of big deer. And I let them tape it. And when they told me to store it, I looked around. I was like, "What'd you say?" I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I bet so. I bet so. All right, dude. Well, look, man, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. Give that homegrown a bump. I see that on your ball cap. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, Homegrown Outdoors. That's my company here in Northern Kentucky, and I service a lot of out of state clients and some in state clients. We do about 200 acres in food plot work a year, and we sell redneck blinds and real world wildlife products. Don Higgins and Terry and all those guys over there do a great job, and also Titan hunting blinds right here in Dry Ridge, Kentucky.
All right, so I want to give you guys a quick something entertaining. All right, years ago we used to do a thing called Idiots of the Outdoors in a magazine that I used to write with, and now we're gonna sit here and I'm gonna do a little. I'm gonna find some news from around the country, kind of share it with you. I mean, all around. We've got the internet now. I can find stuff all over, and I found one that I thought was pretty interesting, pretty sad, but at the same time, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So let's go. Here we go. Come off of outdoorlifemagazine.com. Go check it out. You can read the full thing. I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes. There's some stuff I had to cut out because it was just too damn long. So here we go. Hold on. Let me get, there we go. A Maryland based waterfowl guide and 8-time world champion goose caller was sentenced to 90 days in prison on September the 8th for violating his probation and outfitting without a license. Federal prosecutors pointed to a pattern of exploitive and unethical practices that this cat named Newweiler has engaged in since at least 2016, when law enforcement agents obtained a video of Newweiler and others, presumably clients, flock shooting more than 80 geese from his truck. Now, guys, I've seen this video, and I'll be honest with you, it looks like a hayride. You can go to Outdoor Life Magazine and .com and take a look at this video, 40 seconds long. It really, the setting, the vehicle, it looks like a Ford Expedition, maybe. I think it's a Ford by the dash. It's got a roof rack on it. Newweiler sitting in the driver's seat with his shotgun hung out the window, riding down the road. Somebody's over there videoing. As a result of that video, Neuweiler was prosecuted and put on federal probation on October the 21st. Keep that in mind. Which prohibited him from hunting, guiding, or outfitting for snow geese for 3 years. But a subsequent investigation revealed that he continued to book waterfowl hunts through the remainder of the 21-22 season, even though he and his company lacked the proper license to do so. So he got convicted, he got prosecuted. We're gonna keep going. So this is what he's got. This is where we at with this. When he continued to book snow goose hunts, which is outfitting for snow geese, he violated his terms of probation. The other part was that he was the lack of license to guide or outfit or for snow geese or any other waterfowl for that matter. USW. Hold on, they got too many acronyms in here. UFWS Special Agent John LaCourte told Chesapeake Bay Magazine. LaCourte explained that the agency's investigation into Neuweiler all started with the video that surfaced on social media sometime around 2016. In that video, Neuweiler is driving his truck down the side of the highway, towing a trailer full of shooters, which you can't see, but you can sure hear them here in a minute, when they pass a field full of resting snow geese. The coast is clear, no cars coming, someone in the cab asked. Neuweiler slows down, picks up his shotgun that's resting in his lap, aims it out the window, and then somebody hollers the famous waterfowl decree, "Cut 'em!" prompting Neuweiler and the people riding in the trailer to shower down on the flock of resting birds, killing more than 80. I mean, that was a field full of snow geese. You can see them easy. I mean, they're just right there. And they laid them down. Now, here's your good part. He admitted to shooting the snow geese, LaCourte said. He also made a statement that they should have shot more. So this is, in my mind's eye, this is how this is played out. Okay. This is the first 48. They're sitting in the interrogation room, and they said, "Sir, did you in fact shoot all those snow goose?" "Hell yeah, we shot them, and I tell you what else, we should have shot more." What in the Livingston Parish did I read? Neuweiler was convicted of unauthorized taking snow geese in October of 21 and then sentenced to 3 years probation. Roughly 2 months later, LaCourte began receiving calls from hunters about why outfitters. So he got convicted from the video. Okay, the video got him convicted. This is where we play in after October 21. They complained that Neuweiler, whose reputation as a champion snow goose caller made him well known in the local waterfowling community, had canceled their trips and changed the dates at the last minute without offering a refund. In other instances, he would tell his clients that he was leading the hunt only to pass them off to another guide when they arrived. A combination of warrants and subpoenas with witnesses and compliance checks revealed that the outfitter booked more than 40 hunts over the course of the 21-22 season, even though neither Neuweiler nor his company had the proper guide or outfitting licenses. These trips amounted to well over $40,000 in income. Let me tell you something, folks. I've never hired a guide, ever. This is why. This kind of stuff scares me slap to death, that I would spend my hard-earned money to go on a hunt only to get bamboozled or led into some shenanigans like this. So, there's going to be ne'er-do-wells wherever you go. Right? There's going to be people who want to take advantage of other people. There's going to be people who want to do what this guy did, make it easy, just ride down the road, shoot them out of a trailer. Sometimes when you pay, you get what you pay for, is what I'm trying to say. So research who you may do your outfitting with. Research. You might even, if you know of anybody in the local law enforcement in that area, call them up and say, "Hey, well, you know about these folks, these good people. and then kind of go from there, because if they've had trouble with them before, they'll let you know. So I hope you like this segment that I've got, this little news thing. I enjoy doing it. I think it's a good way to close out the podcast. My name is Greg Hicks. This is the Antlers and Hicks podcast. And as always, I'm going to encourage you guys to live your life past 20 yards. We'll see you next time.